All right, we got a question from a guy the other day asking about pork fat and what kind of fatty acids were in pork fat and if that was okay to eat really. A lot of people, when we recommend that they eat pork products or we say that it's okay to eat bacon, you know, on the front end they're taken back a little bit because they've probably never heard that before. You know, they heard for breakfast you want to have whole grains and high fiber breakfast, that type of thing. We tell them to eat bacon and eggs, and they think bacon and eggs is a cheat meal, and we think, you know, oatmeal and orange juice or bagel is a cheat meal. So the fats that are in bacon and pork fat are broken down like this. You got about half of the fat is monounsaturated. Most of that is oleic acid, which is the same stuff that you're going to find in olive oil, for example. About 45% or so is going to be saturated fats. That's palmitic and stearic acid. A little bit of mysteric, like 1%. Don't worry too much about the details, but that's how it's broken down. And then finally, that last 5% or so is polyunsaturated. The polyunsaturated fats are your omega-6s and your omega-3s. For the most part, it's going to be all omega-6 and very, very, very little omega-3s in pork. So, granted, having a lot of omega-6s is not a good thing, and having more omega-3s is a good thing. But no matter what, pork is never going to be a good source of omega-3s, so that's not something that we're trying to get from our pork. We can get that from other food sources. So, the fat you get in your diet from a certain food source should always be looked at in the context of the rest of your day. You want to make sure that you get roughly a third, and a third of saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fats, which if you're eating paleo and you're eating, you know, mostly vegetables, about, you know, a quarter of your plate is meat, and then you're adding in healthy fats, nuts and seeds and fish oil, avocados, things like that, and you're putting, you know, olive oil on salads, on and on and on, then you should be getting roughly a third. So for pork specifically, just because it has 45% saturated fat doesn't mean it's bad for you. The majority of the fat, like I said, is, you know, kind of the heart-healthy fat that's found in olive oils, and then that little bit, that 5% or so, is going to be the polyunsaturated fats that we consider bad for you. Even though that they're an essential fat, we consider them bad for you because it's so easy to get too much. But if you are eating paleo and you're not consuming a high amount of processed foods or industrialized oils, you're not using lots of corn oils and soybean oils and vegetable oils, then you're probably not overdoing it on your omega-6 fats, your inflammatory kind of bad fats. So if you're eating a slice or two of bacon in the morning, you know, that's, you know, a very small percentage of your total calories for the day, and only 5% of that roughly is bad fats, those omega-6 fats that is easy to get too much of. So when looked at in the context of the whole rest of your day, a slice or two of bacon in the morning is not going to hurt you one bit. It is actually a good thing. So I hope that helps.